Unit 3, microprogrammed control, central processing unit, and computer arithmetic. All the three chapters are completed.
Yes, ma'am.
Today we will begin with memory organization, Unit 4.
Okay, ma'am.
Memory hierarchy and main memory will try to discuss.
Okay, ma'am.
Essentially, a memory is a component of a computer system which is used to store data and programs. There are different types of memory. We have primary memory or main memory, secondary memory or auxiliary memory. Uh, so we are going to study in detail about all these different types of memories, their functionalities, and cache memory also, and their working hierarchy. So all these things we are going to discuss in this chapter. Well, if you remember, memory hierarchy already we studied. There are registers in computer processor which are the fastest memory elements, followed by cache memory which is located between processor and main memory. Going ahead, we have primary memory or main memory, and moving on, secondary memory which comes in magnetic disks form occur. Magnetic tapes were very old form of secondary memory which are not being used nowadays. Look at this figure. CPU
Ma'am,
between.
your screen is not shared, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, now you look at this figure. CPU, main memory. Between these two, you have cache memory.
Yes.
Main memory is the primary memory, and here you will find secondary memory or auxiliary memory which occur in several forms. Two of them have been shown here, which are magnetic disks and magnetic tapes. They are accessed through IO processor because they are the IO types, input output. They are external to our system as input output devices. All right. Multi-programming is a concept of operating system which states that two or more programs reside in the memory at the same time, and one of them will be executing, other one is in queue, and then there will be a kind of switching between them to ensure that there is a concurrent execution of programming through interleaving. That is what primarily happening in multi-programming. Let us begin the concept of main memory. Main memory is the central storage unit in a computer system. It is a relatively large and fast memory compared to cache memory and registers. When you compare this with secondary memory is by far the largest type of memory. This one is relatively large compared to cache memory, and it is located on motherboard in the form of RAM chips, and RAM chips comes in two modes, static and dynamic. Static RAM consists of internal flip-flops that store the binary information, and this information remains in the IC, that is integrated circuit of RAM, as long as there is a power supply to it. The dynamic memory stores the binary information in the form of electric charges that are applied to capacitors. Capacitors are provided in the form of transistors, MOS, metal oxide semiconductor transistors. The stored charge on the capacitor, because it is based on electric charges, tend to discharge with time, and then capacitors must be periodically recharged by refreshing the dynamic memory. This is the functionality of static and dynamic RAM. Static RAM stores the information in the flip-flops, and flip-flop contains the bits as long as there is a power supply to them. Dynamic RAM uses electric charges and transistors for the storage of bits, and they get discharged over a period of time, and therefore they have to be charged periodically by refreshing the dynamic memory. This is how the static and dynamic RAM operates, and refreshing is done by cycling through the words every few milliseconds to restore the decaying charge. In dynamic, this is about dynamic RAM. And dynamic RAM offers reduced power consumption and large storage capacity in a single chip. Alright, the static RAM is easier to use, and it has shorter read-write cycles, whereas the dynamic one offers reduced power consumption. This is a trade-off between using static and dynamic RAM. Although in today's world things have changed dramatically, not only static dynamic, you get many different newer forms of RAMs. This is relatively older. Still, you need to know the conceptual idea about how static and dynamic RAM is implemented. There is another kind of primary memory which is called as ROM, read-only memory. Read-only memory does not allow users to write to it. However, there are variants of ROM which allows writing also, but the basic form of ROM is to read the contents which are uh, written into it by using some um, you know electronic soldering methods or some kind of methods which are used to write information in the ROM in the industry. So ROM basically is a permanent storage of um, a program, and primarily it contains the bootstrap loader. When you switch on the computer, the first program that is loaded is from ROM, which is called as bootstrap loader, whose function is to start the computer operating system and hand over the control to the operating system. Until operating system takes the control of the system, because operating system also has to be loaded. So meanwhile, what happens is this bootstrap loader program gets activated and triggered when you switch on the computer system, and it loads OS and hands in the system to it. All right, that is about um, okay, computer startup. Another terminology here. It consists of turning the power on and starting the execution of the initial program, which is basically loaded in the ROM. When the power is turned on, the hardware of the computer system sets the program counter to the first address of the bootstrap loader, and bootstrap loader loads the portion of the operating system from disk to memory, and control is then transferred to the operating system, which then takes care of the rest of the computer operation. So that is how a computer system is turned on and how operating system takes its control, and the functionality of RAM and ROM in a computer system ecosystem. Computer ecosystem has hardware, software, and other elements that work together to ensure that it performs the user's task. RAM and ROM chips are available in variety of sizes and also variety of technologies. An example of 1024 by 8 memory constructed with the 128 by 8 RAM chips and 512 by 8 ROM chips is demonstrated let us look at it in detail. RAM and ROM chips. RAM chip is used for communication with the CPU, and it is bidirectional in nature. You can read from the RAM, also you can write into it, and there is a bidirectional bus constructed with a 3-state buffer. Please recall that we looked at the 3-state buffer gates and 3-state multiplexer, 3-state bus system. One was a bus system developed using multiplexer, and second one was bus system developed using three-state bus. So that is how a three-state buffer is used between uh, RAM and processor, and a signal equivalent to logic 1, and there are two types of signals, logic 1, logic 0, and high impedance state in three-state buffer gates. If you recall, high impedance is turns out turns the circuit into a high impedance state. High impedance is like an open circuit. So the block diagram of ROM chip, the capacity of this RAM is 128 by 8. 128 by 8 means there are 128 locations, and the size of each one is 8 bits. One 128 means 2 to the power of question mark is equals to 128. Can you tell me what is the value of question mark? 2 power 0 is 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. So 2 power 7 is equals to 128.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So 2 power 7 is
Yes,
equals
ma'am.
to 128. 128 to address 128 different locations, you require an address of 7 bits. And to transfer 8 bits of contents of 128 locations RAM, you require an address of a data bus of 8 bits. Address bus is to refer to location, and data bus is to carry the content of that location. The content of that location is 8 bits every location. So you require a 8-bit data bus, and to address every location you require 7 bits because it has 128 locations. That is chip select 1, chip select 2, read, write. These are control inputs to this RAM, and that ensures that, okay, look at this function table. When CS1 means chip select 1 is 0 and this is 0, and read write are don't care, then the memory function is inhibited, means nothing is performed, it behaves like an open circuit, it is in high impedance state. 0 and 1 also it is inhibit high impedance. 1 0 and 0 0 is also high impedance. When it write, when CS1 is equal to 1 and write is 1, then you can write, means input data to RAM. You what does it means? It means you are writing to RAM. It is the data is coming into RAM. When CS1 is 1 and RD is 1, it is read. Read means you are uh, taking the data output data from RAM, take the data out of this RAM, that is read. When these two are 1 1, and irrespective of read write bits, again it goes into high impedance. So if you understand, if chip select is normal, input of 1, and then write is 1, then it writes, and read is 1 and CS1 is 1, it reads. In all the other cases it does not do anything, it goes into high impedance state. So that is what is explained here. Moving forward, RAM chip is organized in a similar manner. However, you may not find this right in the ROM chip. You can only read from a ROM chip. And the block diagram of ROM chip is shown in 12.3. Look at here. Actually, when it is doing only a single function of read, there is no need to specify the read also, because it is known that it does only read. So you have chip select 1, chip select 2 and address. What is 2 to the power of 9 means?
512.
Yeah, 2 power 7 is 2 power 7 is 128.
128.
And 256. 2 power 8 is 256. 2 power 9 is 512. Look at here, the size of ROM is 512 because of this 9 bit of address. Uh, we can say that the ROM size is 512 by 8. So there are 512 locations. To address each of them, you require a 9 bit address. And data bus is required only for carrying the data from the ROM to the outside world. Outside world in the sense to the processor. That is ROM chip. Hope RAM and ROM chips are clear. RAM chip,
Yes.
both read write. ROM chip only read, and there are 5 inputs to RAM and there are only 3 inputs to ROM, and output can go out and input can come in RAM, whereas only output goes out of ROM. Memory address map. This is useful when you want to map uh, certain locations with the address of this ROM and ROM. So what happens is, for particular application, uh, RAM or ROM is assigned, and this interconnection between memory processor is established through the size of RAM, size of memory and the type of RAM and ROM chips. The addressing of memory can be established by means of a table and specifies the memory address assigned to each chip. The table is called memory address map, which is a pictorial representation of assigned address space for each chip in the system. What happens is, there is a address space. Space means what? A collection of addresses. The collection of addresses are assigned to RAM and ROM, and the mapping of that is stored in a table called as memory address map. Let us look at that with the example. Suppose computer system needs 512 bytes of RAM and 512 bytes of ROM. RAM and ROM chips are to be specified in 12.2 and 12.3. Then the address map for that configuration is shown in 12.1. Look at this 12.1. Memory address map for microcomputer. Micropro computer. In this you have RAM 1, RAM 2, RAM 3, RAM 4. 4 RAM chips. Their address range are from, this is in hexadecimal, 0 to 7F, 82FF, 1002 to 17F, 180 to 1FF. These 4 address maps belong to 4 RAMs. And what does address bus does is, and there is only one RAM. ROM. There is only one ROM, and there are 4 RAMs. So their addresses have to be mapped on this address bus. If RAM 1 or here you have 8th, 9th and 10th bit as 000, then irrespective of whatever value is, it is mapping to RAM, the address of RAM 1. RAM 2 address means if it is 001. When it is 001, the address from 1 to 7 bits. If you recall, just we studied that one RAM chip has 128 locations. To address 128 locations, we require 7 bits of address. When we extend the system with 4 RAMs and we have got 7 bits for address bus, we have got 3 other bits for identifying these 7 bits address belong to which RAM, whether it is 1, 2, 3 or 4. If a address comes with the prefix of 011, it implies that it is an address that belongs to RAM 4. That's how addresses are mapped to 4 different RAMs, and because there is only single ROM, just the 10th bit one will identify that it is ROM. Remaining 9 bits are used for uh, address of ROM because the size of ROM is 512. The example which has been considered here is that ROM has 512 bits of um, size, whereas each RAM is 128 bits. Is it clear or you need any further explanation?
Clear, ma'am. Clear, ma'am.
Clear? Okay, very good. How are you identifying different? Because of these prefixes. If you get an address, now we are having 4 RAMs. If you get an address, how do you know from which RAM to read the data? You know from these 3 bits. If it is 010, you know that you have to read or write to RAM 3. That way you are mapping. This is known as memory address map. That way you are mapping multiple RAM ROM chips onto address. All right, next one is this memory connection to CPU. obviously memory has to be connected to CPU. Otherwise, how will CPU read or write from RAM, and how will CPU read from ROM? To ensure that there is a connection, memory connection to CPU, what is done here is the low order lines in the address bus select the byte within the chips, and other line in the address bus select the particular chip through its chip select inputs. The connection of memory chip to CPU is shown in figure 12.4. Look at here, this looks a bit complicated, but it is not. It is very simple. This is a CPU. It has got address bus. It has got two control flags, read write, and it has got an address bus. Further, it has connected to 4 RAM chips and 1 ROM chip. If you carefully decode the lines in this diagram, you will understand that whatever table we looked at, memory map table, the same thing you are putting here in the form of these chips. So 1 to 7, what are 1 to 7 bits? They are the addresses of 1 to 7 address. Look at here, 1 to 7 is given here. There is a connection point from this to RAM 1, likewise RAM 2, RAM 3 and RAM 4, and also to ROM. Look at here, this line, if you observe carefully, you will get to know that this is connected to all 5, followed by 8, 9, 10. What are these 8, 9, 10? These are the 3 bits used to distinguish between the 4 RAMs and ROM. If all the 3 are 0, 0, 0, then it is RAM 1. Likewise, different combinations yield to different connections of this CPU to these RAMs and ROM. Here, if you observe here, there is a decoder. What does decoder do? Decoder is accepting 2 bits, 8 and 9 bits as inputs, and decoding it into 4 bits. When 8 and 9 are 0, 0, it is 0 given to RAM 1. When it is 0, 1, it is 1 given to RAM 2. When it is 1, 0, it is 2 given to RAM 3. And when it is 1, 1, 3 given to RAM 4. And to this ROM, directly you are putting 8 and 9, direct connection. Through decoder you are getting 0, 1, 2, 3. 0 means RAM 1, 1 means RAM 2, 2 means RAM 3, 3 means RAM 4. This is how these bits control the selection of these chips. Coming to 10th bit, 10th bit is connected as input to CS2. When CS2, this 0, this when it is 0, when it is 0, when it is 0, and when it is, it has to be made as 1 for ROM to work. 10th bit should be 1 for ROM to be selected. For that purpose, there is a inverter here. This inverter, actually you pass 0 as 10th bit and it becomes 1 for ROM when it is chosen. This way address bus has been mapped to these 5 chips, and WR is given as input WR to RAM 1, RAM 2, RAM 3, RAM 4. ROM does not need it. RD is also given RAM 1, RAM 2, RAM 3, RAM 4, and ROM does not require it. So do you understand that memory mapped you know addresses?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure. Any doubt you can
Yes, ma'am.
ask us.
No
Okay.
doubt, ma'am. But I had
Hmm.
why
Why
tenth
only
bit we
10?
get better than
Why only?
tenth bit of address. Tenth address.
Very good. So what happens here is it depends on the size. Actually, if you carefully observe this figure, you realize that there are totally 16 bits in this address bus,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Only 10
Yes, ma'am.
bits are in use. 11 to 16 are not in use. It
Yes.
depends on the size of RAM. If you make the size of RAM to be 4096 locations, then how many bits are required? 4096 means how many?
To power 16.
2 power 10 is 1024. 2 power 11 is 2048.
48.
Uh, 2 power
13.
uh, 12 is uh,
Yes, ma'am.
4096. So you require 12 bits to
Okay.
address 4096 locations. Then in that
Okay,
case
ma'am.
you will use 12 bits of address bus.
12.
Because our size of RAM is 128, we require only 7 bits. But then
Okay.
more 3 RAMs are added. You are using 8 and 9th bit to differentiate between 4 different types of RAMs addresses.
Okay, ma'am.
You are not putting one large RAM chip. Instead, you are using 4 smaller RAM chips.
Oh,
Each one can hold 128. So 7 bits are required for each one. But then how will you identify whether it is RAM 1, RAM 2, RAM 3? That is because of 8 and 9 bit. If you don't use 8 and 9 bit, then it is difficult no to address four different RAMs using only 1 to 7 bits.
yes, ma'am.
If you give only an address of 7 bits long, to which RAM it should go, that is decided by 8 and 9. And 10th one is useful mainly to differentiate between RAMs and ROM. When 10th bit
Okay.
is 0, uh, these 4 RAMs are activated. When 10th bit turns out to be 1, it is actually reading from ROM. The 10th bit uses that. 8
Okay.
the use of 8th and 9th bits are to distinguish between these 4 RAMs, and 10th bit is between 4 RAMs and ROM. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what we will do? We will stop our class today.
Okay,
Tomorrow we
ma'am.
will continue with auxiliary memory. Please go through. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Bye.
Ma'am, thank you.